I'd say one thing that we did different was if you look at Disney back in the 90s, they got amazing people, they got very first year actors. And what was common was you would sort of model the character in the film to look a little bit like the actor. Like Robin Williams looks a little bit like the genie in Aladdin. Right. But we didn't do that. We always designed our characters first and made our characters appealing and then found the perfect voice to fit to that character. And I think that was a different philosophy for us. So when you look at Sully and Mike in Monsters, Inc., it's John Goodman and Billy Crystal, but they don't look like John Goodman or Billy Crystal. Right. But you can't think of anybody else doing that voice because they're the perfect voice for that character.
And of course, the list of characters that you guys roped in. I mean, first of all, starting with Paul Newman, that must have not been an easy get. Okay, we're going to do an animated movie about cars. You in, Paul? Yeah, sure, I'm in. Call my agent, right?
And interestingly enough, it's the last film he did before he passed away was Cars.
Wow. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. So it's pretty special that we did. It's so special that we got him because he also played an ex-racer. And so Paul looked at the lines in the script and started saying, well, that's not right. And that's not correct. Well, this wouldn't make any sense. And we ended up adding even more authenticity to the movie because of his input and his character. He wrote really a lot of those lines you're hearing. That's Paul. It's just him being himself.
Right. How funny. Because I mean, and it's great because most of the characters that you hear are kind of being whatever their perceived self is. I mean, Larry the Cable Guy, he's just hilarious all the time, and I mean, you just can't, it's just funny listening to him talking. He doesn't even have to say anything funny.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and sometimes we talked about casting earlier, and that's just a natural casting where he's the perfect character. And, he wasn't really well known outside of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour before we got him for the part of Mater.
Some of the other people, I mean, the kind of the offbeat people that I love that you had on, I mean, first and foremost is Tony Shalhoub, who, if you've ever seen The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, he is the funniest character ever. And he was so great as Luigi the Fiat 500. I mean, what a great character, recognizable voice, just wonderful.
Yeah, he was great. And he had been in another series when we hired him as well. There's another one where he played a detective. I can't think of what it was. And he just, you're right. Just brilliant casting. And we do have a casting team that looks at who the character is and what personifies that character. And then they'll throw 3 or 4 or 5 people to do voices. We'll listen to their parts in different movies. Say, it'd be great. And sometimes we'll even animate a little thing with that person doing a voice in something else.
Just to get, so you've got to feel.
Just to get a feel for it.
Right. Well, and I would imagine, I mean, will actors tell you that it's just as difficult doing just voice as it is to regular acting? I say
more difficult, actually, because when you're on screen, you can gesture with your eyes and your face and your hands to convey emotion.
Right.
When you are literally just your voice and you have to sell something with your voice, you have to add a lot more nuance to that voice to sell what you're trying to do.
Sure. I mean, I never really thought about it that way, but that's really interesting, but the people that, like you said, Mario Andretti on the thing, Cheech Marin is Ramon, the 59 lowrider. I mean, that couldn't even be more perfect if you tried. Of course, you had to worry about some of the smoke and things, right?
Just from the tailpipe.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, and I love, I'd forgotten about this one. Bob Costas was Bob Cutlass, and it was a 99 Aurora. That's so great. And so many people. Did you have people in the second and third movie like, oh, I want in? I mean, that seemed to be that would probably happen pretty frequently.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of them was Jeff Gordon, because we had used Dale Jr. in the first film, and Jeff Gordon had become friends with John, with a lot of people in the studio, and wanted to do a voice. So we found a way to get him in there for the second film
and his name, third film. Yeah, his name, Jeff Gorvette.
Jeff Gorvette, yeah.
Which is appropriate because Mr. H and his collection of Corvettes, right? So
yeah, exactly. That's true.
Little inside little thing, little knowledge there. But
Lewis Hamilton we got for Cars 2.
Yeah, how cool is that? And then wasn't Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso, didn't they do like the European version?
They do their local region. Exactly. Kimi Räikkönen. A lot of these guys did their did their local area ones. Yeah, exactly.
You've been listening to the Classic Auto Mall Show with your host, Stewart Howden.